I'm just gonna cut to the chase. This video is just an excuse to complain about actman for a good 10 minutes, but it's also to tell you about two big things: the content attorney and his stance on React content. It's no big surprise that I've become more vocal against his work ever since the time he publicly defended a game just to make a video out of the people that got mad at him, hoping it was worth the $400 you grifter. But personally, I just hate his opinion on two big topics that's just been going on simply because he doesn't think that the rules he makes just apply to him, and also his attorney shtick is wholly riding on that cash cow of an untapped market of that demand for another content cop. I totally see why people are trying to get in on that action. Being the guy who just called out everyone else for being a terrible person really just seems to be the best job ever, right? Just find a couple clips of regrettable things and now that's all that your subject is ever going to be remembered for. But no, that's not harassment. No, we like to call that accountability here. It totally is accountability to be calling 18-year-olds pieces of shit on Twitter because they made a stupid decision, right? Did you solve the copyright abuse system by portraying him as a caricature of who he really is by just clipping tidbits of him at his worst so it just looks like that's how he is? Of course nobody's gonna defend iShowSpeed of all people because he's a walking controversy, unlike me, the actman who's never done a regrettable thing in my life. I think after some consideration, I really don't like the content cop, not because of the guy who's behind it has changed significantly into a person that is universally hated, even though I'm pretty sure most of his audience doesn't even know why, but because its presence was ultimately an excuse to bully people you think are beneath you, and you're immune to it because everyone else is too focused on the years of dirt being digged back up against your victim, so that you can stray away from the fact that you dropped the N-bomb at a convention for a video. So you can imagine my distaste for this kind of trend where people make a career out of this kind of shit. I especially don't like the video actman made about iShowSpeed, mainly because the second half of the video is literally just him pretending to be a subject matter expert of everything copyright on YouTube. It's like he just read the YouTube community guidelines and a couple Imp Lemon videos went, "Yup, I'm an expert." On one hand, he's expected to be taken seriously, but on the other, he's making the whole thing a fucking joke. I don't think you were supposed to take the whole court case skit seriously, but that said, if you want to act like a court, maybe treat it like a fucking court. I mean, come on, you have this whole ordeal on your channel where you're the attorney, with a defendant and judge that you chose to voice over this video, and the main guy you're talking about not even being a part of the video whatsoever so that you can shadowbox an iShowSpeed that can't defend himself. But that's the thing, it never was an actual trial, right? The whole thing was orchestrated before the video even started, but created the illusion that there was anything to defend this guy when that was never your intention in the first place. It makes his defense look as bad as possible so that if anyone does defend him, then suddenly you're defending a scammer. This totally feels like the after product of his ego being fueled after the Quantum TV issue where he was wrongfully copyright struck down for what was clearly under fair use. At the time, nobody really defended Quantum TV when actman made his very first act attorney video because, well, what was there to defend? I think by the time that video came out, we already knew the outcome, and the community already picked a side by that point. The video he made was more or less the nail in the coffin for the discussion, and it's safe to say that he became the de facto replacement for iDubbbz in a sense. So of course, I have a bit of a bias on defending iShowSpeed a bit, mainly because what teenager is going to know how to act properly or know the copyright system? Just give the guy the benefit of the doubt, and if he's still doing it as an adult, then that's all fair game because he should know better by now. But anyway, there's also the second part of his video where he starts talking about how YouTubers have this unwritten rule that you can't just copyright claim your videos because reasons, and then they start using examples from people like Pyrocynical, Moist Critical, and other people that obviously say that they aren't going to do that. But like, of course that's what they're going to say because it's convenient for them to say these things. Every single one of these YouTubers you used as an example has made money or are currently running alt channels or streams where they have used others' content to entertain a stream or make a video about it, which is practically a guaranteed income while in between projects or just as a way to fill the gap of upload times. That includes you, actman. Choosing obviously cherry-picked examples from people that choose to not copyright claim their work because it means that they can't make passive income anymore just reeks of a double standard too. Like, look at this. How can this be any better than the examples you love to use against React content? I mean, look at it. It's just Charlie making noises every once in a while and then slapping his brand all over it.
Neutral, chic, but also quirky and fun because a baby is going to be obviously brought into this house and she loves it. And I got this from JF Chen. I definitely have taken a nap here. It's my little me time.
I mean, that looks like pretty comfortable, I'm not gonna lie.
5-minute refresh. This house is very bright. It's very
I kind of like that chair.
That's what we loved about it.
We should be like collecting books over time and putting them in the shelves. And I was like, no.
Not Batman, though. It's a fucking book. Who cares? Like, who fucking cares? cares? Don't put so much thought into it. Just fill it with like Harry Potter and Magic Treehouse. Who cares?
So this is the dining room.
Of course, it's fine when they do it because people have an emotional attachment to these creators, so it's just normalized to think that this is the right way to do React content. Okay, so let's say that I upload a video where it's just the entirety of the movie Brother Bear on Blu-ray 4K, and I claim that my upload is fair use because it's transformative due to me pausing every once in a while, or I talk over the video and I happen to credit the animation studio in the description, and tell people to buy the movie if they love it. Is that fair use though? No, because fair use isn't just transformative media. Fair use is only applicable if it meets the 4 requirements set by the Fair Use Index, or at least within US jurisdiction. YouTube HQ is in California, so it complies with those rules if they want to not get sued by the 3 biggest media groups on the planet that also happen to be in America. These rules are the purpose of the media, the nature of the copyrighted work, amount that was used in relation to the whole, and effect of the value of a copyrighted work if you release this media to the public. Most people just go straight to saying it's transformative so it's okay, but you still miss the other 3 requirements. Now, that's a whole can of worms that I just opened, but generally, if a dispute like this ever does happen, it's a case-by-case discussion until we actually have a legal precedent. It's probably not going to happen until someone tries going to court over a YouTube video for a fair use dispute, which is going to be more effort than there needs to be. But anyway, in my opinion, I wouldn't really call it fair game to just be using an entire video and then slapping your face over it, and then talking a bit is the right way to do React content, because I choose to say that React content, no matter who does it, should feel bad for validating a system that prioritizes parasitic relationships with other channels if you ever want to make an inch of success on this platform. Now, you're never going to hear that from big YouTubers because that means that they actually have to create content for once, but that's also because they would like to tell you that React content, when done right, can help the smaller channels. No, you don't help other channels by just blatantly using their work to promote yourself first and then the creator second, and then you just normalize that behavior. You support other channels by allowing your audience to discover them on your own, either by telling people to check them out, or by some miracle YouTube finally gets their shit together and brings back the system that shows what other channels like to watch instead of hiding it away. All you're doing is just exploiting content creators that would have no shot of making it on this platform without that anchor. Maybe instead of asking how these people feel about copyright claiming their work, you should ask the people that actually make the work for them. I'm pretty sure artists love it when their work is blatantly used to create ads for products with no way to receive royalties for that piece they stole. I bet actors are just leaping for joy when they find out that people are stealing their voices and faces to live out fan fictions without paying the actor a dime. Even musicians, they always talk about how much they like it when people download their songs, then slow it down and run it through a reverb filter so that they can run ads on it since the adjustment gets past the Content ID filters. But actman making a video quote-unquote promoting another YouTuber by watching his whole video? Nope, nothing to criticize here. The reason why big content creators hate React content so much isn't so much because they don't want it on YouTube. After all, it's in their best interest to keep it on this platform, but they are still pretty vocal about it. Personally, it just feels like at some point we all just agreed to use this made-up system of how to properly do a React channel. No, seriously, there's like no actual rule that you have to credit the material that you didn't make when making a video. Case in point, this sound effect of the $6 Million Man. Sure, I could just credit the studio that made it so that I could make it easier for the media group that owns that IP to copyright claim my video, but I didn't need to explicitly credit that sample or lead the viewers to find the sample from ABC's network of home television productions. Just like how there's no rule that forces you to list out every song you used in a video that you didn't compose, or even whatever content you're reacting to. And if you're thinking that I'm wrong for saying that, I want you to do a little homework assignment. Go on a Moist Critical video, or a Pyro Live video, or whatever your favorite React streamer is, and see how many times they provided links to the things they reacted to, or provided a source to the content that they made a video about. Sure, you could find some links every once in a while, but not all the time. So if we aren't actually obligated to credit the work we use in our videos, why do we still do it then? Well, that's an easy answer, because you'll look like a piece of shit if you don't. So why is it so hard for someone that's usually criticized to just credit the work they react to then? Well, maybe you should think of how that content is aggregated first. More likely than not, the videos that they're reacting to are compilations that stole stole videos from other platforms that credited other creators as themselves, and then those people have their watermarks removed to put on another watermark, and by that time, your punching bag of the week has found a daily feed of compilation videos to satisfy a daily upload schedule, because they're sure as hell not going to go out of their way to find things to react to. That's why I feel like the way we are handling React content is backwards, because we aren't actually dealing with the problem and instead just punching down the end users because it's easier to attack something that has a face behind it. An easy real-world example actually just happened recently with the Jax Films incident, where he was criticizing someone else for not following these rules, and then that person tried to dox them in retaliation, which from what I understand in the state of California is a criminal offense. Pretty clear who is in the wrong here, but here's the thing. I also conveniently left out the fact that 3 months prior, Jax Films was running an alt channel that was given the sole intent of white-gloving the ever-loving shit out of every single one of her daily uploads. Prior to this incident, he was criticized for performing a pretty blatant harassment campaign against this single person, at least until the person decided to commit a crime. Post-incident, it doesn't even matter what he does anymore. All that you needed was anything to make someone look irredeemably bad, and nobody's gonna give a shit about context from that point on. If you choose to go against the grain, you'll just be endorsing the product by mere association. It's a blatantly disgusting precedent that has been left by channels that police others on this platform, where the accuser could quite literally spit in their viewers' faces, and nobody's gonna care because they were too busy tearing apart the person who is more in the wrong to notice. Accountability is a two-way street, and if you're perfectly fine criticizing someone else for their actions, then I should be perfectly fine criticizing your actions that led up to the controversy just as much as the viewer is entitled to criticize this video. Do you know why people keep bringing up the fact that actman has said homophobic or racist things in the past? It's not because of some hate mob, it's because you clearly didn't learn from that experience, given that you still choose to keep up videos like this, where you call people like Anita Sarkeesian a professional victim who is put in actual danger for nothing more than discussing a rhetoric that has been around since like the 1970s. It's very clear that you didn't learn from this, because not even a year ago, you publicly defended a video game that was actively going to be a piggy bank for anti-transgender organizations. And because that wasn't enough for you, you then decided to deliberately bait out a reaction from already upset individuals on Twitter, so then you can have a little circle jerk on your main channel about how people are getting mad at you for no reason, and how GCJ banned you for literally nothing. It's true that time can allow someone to change their perspective, but you clearly haven't shown that you've matured as a person, and now you're pretending to be a fucking judge, jury, and executioner of what's moral on this platform. Look, I get that if someone wants to try to do something different, because just being the guy who reviews Call of Duty and Halo for half a decade sounds exhausting. If this is a path that someone really wants to go, honestly, who cares? I'm not his dad. He can make whatever video he wants because it's his channel. But actman also seems to think that he's in a position to be an authority figure on how other channels are supposed to act, like he's some self-appointed moral compass of the platform, which is hilarious to me because it's like he's acting like his shit doesn't smell either. If you've got a problem with the platform, you talk to the people that made that problem. You don't bully the people that choose to exploit it while it's still there. The only other thing I really have to say about this right now is that you'd probably make a really bad attorney.